Alright everybody, welcome back. Please like, share, subscribe and comment. I just thought I'd come on and do a wee video because I haven't made one for a wee while. I've been slacking a wee bit, obviously doing other things in that and trying to juggle personal issues and all this kind of stuff. But this is a case that's pretty, shall we say, it's high profile. I was going to say notorious, but that's probably the wrong word to use. And it concerns the death of a prisoner who was being held in HMP Stockton in Edinburgh, a boy by the name of Allan Marshall, who had a medical emergency and was taken to the segregation unit rather than be administered some sort of health measures or kind of mental health measures, whatever was going on. Now, I made this video quite some time ago, and what happened was Allan Marshall, as I said, had some sort of issues. I can't remember off the top of my head if he'd ingested drugs or had a mental health issue, and he was removed to the segregation unit and physically restrained to the point where he died as a result of that intervention. And not only that, the Scottish Prison Service were granted immunity from prosecution, right? Now, I've read a lot of crime. I've heard about a lot of crime, right? And I cannot remember off the top of my head anybody being granted absolution to the point where they walked free for causing somebody's death, especially a so-called public or civil servant who are there to uphold the rights and the values of the state and all this fucking shit, where they can skate for their transgressions. Now, the reason that I'm doing another video about this is because a couple of days ago it was in the paper that the Scottish Prison Service acknowledged culpability for the death of Allan, right? And made some sort of apology. But now there's prison staff claiming that they feel shame and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and I wanted to pull up the media reports, excuse me, so that you guys can read what I'm reading. And now, don't take my word for this, make up your own mind. I'm not here to proselytise you or convert you to the way I think or my point of view. Your point of view is your point of view, mine's is mine's. I'm just here to tell the story or report the story or whatever way you want to look at it, and you just kind of make up your own kind of your own mind about that, as I say. So here we are, right? It's not that celebrate Grandparents' Day. I'm not a grandparent. Yeah, hopefully no. But I hate to see all this ads and shit. Like, what is all this about? Moonpig. Fuck. Sounds like one of my exes, man. Kidding on, I shouldn't have said that. So, prison officers reveal shame over, quote, barbaric death of inmate Allan Marshall at Stockton Prison. Officers claim Allan's death was the result of barbaric responses to a medical situation. Sources say ongoing denials of blame have damaged Scottish prison service. Now, I do want to kind of mention that quote, that word barbaric, has obviously been used by a serving prison officer who served at Stockton Prison when this tragedy occurred. So I don't want to play the video because obviously people close to this guy could see that and it might stir up emotions and things. So I would rather kind of not show it, but you don't really see a lot apart from a lot of screws around him. Now, I've had a few carts, right? And by the word cart, we mean in prison physically and forcefully removed to the segregation unit. So basically what will happen is, like, so if you've never been in prison, you would think it was what we call the riot squad, what you would call that in the prison. Like, they've got all these helmets and visors and fucking body armour. They look like stormtroopers or some shit. Now, in this video, none of the staff are wearing that, so you can't tell if that was how he was removed to the segregation. So I'm kind of not going to get into all that. I'm just going to get into the media reports and my analysis here. So prison officers have told of the shame felt in the wake of the scandalous death of vulnerable prisoner Allan Marshall. The Scottish establishment last week finally made apologies that Allan's family had been seeking for years, but only after a court battle that ended 10 years after the dad of two's death. So we're talking about a dad of two who was killed through negligence or overzealousness or maybe by design. I'm not going to lie, I kind of doubt that, but stranger things have happened, and it's just so sad that a dad or two who needed help lost his life like very, very shortly when he was due to be released. He wasn't even in for a serious crime. So the Daily Record has been contacted by officers, being prison officers, who said they feel the Scottish Prison Service has suffered even greater damage due to the protracted legal proceedings. And officers believe it would have been better for the Scottish Prison Service if men had been charged and convicted for their, quote, unacceptable conduct that day, which led to Allan's death. I want to get back to that. They were instead given immunity from prosecution in a bizarre deal struck by the Crown Office ahead of them giving evidence at a fatal accident inquiry. Staff have said the death of Allan, aged 30, in HMP Edinburgh, just days before he was due to be released, was barbaric, even in an environment where raw force is often used to restore order. One source said, "This case stained the reputation of officers, and there is a lot of anger about the way it happened and the way it has been dealt with. From the very start to the end, the prisoner's death," not me, can't say the guy's name, "every rule in the book was broken." Fuck me, man. We don't even know why he was being moved in the first place. That says Frist, but we all know I'm a shit. We all know I'm a stickler for spelling and shit, but never mind that. To say he was agitated is mind-boggling, because that would mean half the estate being moved every day. So basically what it sounds like is they're acknowledging there's a lot more to this than we know. And so that's the photo, the fucking video I didn't want to show, just hundreds of staff or in this guy. There's no way it takes all them to subdue one guy, but just the source said the sheer number of officers, up to 17, took a hand in restraining Allan was very strange. Right, so that's basically, whoever's saying this is saying there was up to 17 prison staff that helped restrain Allan Marshall, even acknowledging that's unprecedented, it's unusual. I've been in a few situations myself where there's maybe a three-man team, they call it, one on each arm, one holding your head, and one filming it, and somebody fucking opening doors as you're going through, and a supervisor or whatever. So for 17 members of staff to be taking turns at restraining somebody's, it's bizarre, mate. The source said, "There are very specific conditions needed to take a prisoner to a cell block, and they need to be signed off by a senior manager. He shouldn't have been moved." Now, when they're saying there are very specific conditions needed to take a prisoner to a cell block, what they're basically saying here is what I just told you. See, say I smash my cell up, set fire to my cell, stab somebody, slash somebody, napalm somebody, whatever it is, right? They need to send what we call the mufti mob. Basically, it's a riot squad, right? Like with the fucking all the shit on. Now, that has to be signed off, but they're saying he should not have been moved. So I'll continue. The way he was then dealt with was horrific and unacceptable. An alarm was pressed and it brought people running from all areas, which is normal. But after a minute or so, an officer should have been firmly in charge and should have stood down all but 4 officers. So see what I just told you there? Basically, it sounds like what's happened here is it's not been a lock-up situation. It's been when the whole hall's been opened up. Now, this is just me going through my own experience. There would be no need for an alarm to be pressed if the hall was on lockdown. You wouldn't need an alarm. Who's going to press a fucking alarm unless it's one of the staff watching them through the spy hole, right? So, all the people running, I just got a heavy intrusive thought there. Sorry about that. It made me think of something. I don't really, but it's anyway. The way he was then dealt with was horrific and unacceptable, and the alarm was pressed. I so stood down all but 4 officers. In other words, takes 4, 3 to restrain you, one to fucking unlock and lock all the doors behind you. What we got was a load of officers hanging around and people doing stuff that was utterly disproportionate to one unarmed prisoner who was clearly under control, right? Oh, jeez, oh. A source said that the use of a wet towel around Allan's face was unnecessary and not detailed in any training or regulations from restraining prisoners. I cannot believe I have just fucking read this in a national newspaper. Let me put it to you this way, right? I remember, right, so, as I say, I've had a few carts, right? And I remember the first time I went to Berlin at Young Offenders, there was this boy I wanted to go and speak to, quote unquote. But the reason that I didn't do it was because I had heard that when staff are carting prisoners in Berlin, they wrap up a towel around your face. Now, I don't remember the person telling me this, telling me it was a wet towel. I do not recall that. We're talking 2001, 2000, right? So a long time ago. And that was enough to make me think twice. So 25, 24 years later, it sounds like this is something that's embedded within the Scottish Prison Service. I don't know if it's UK wide. And nobody's going to teach you that in training because it's fucking illegal. That's CIA type shit. You need a certain weight, a towel, a certain thickness. The water feels like you're fucking asphyxiating and shit. How do you need that to put round the face of somebody who's under control? No, I'm not. Another source said the application of a towel and the subsequent action by guys to restrain him with knees in the back is just horrific and hard to watch. Right, let me stop you there. A knee in the back. Did George Floyd no die with that? Right? And we've got staff doing this. Fuck me, mate. So they're basically using like a knee in the back of your head. Because I remember that happened to me in Costells, right? They get the size of this guy, mate. What? After I'd attacked that Swedish guy, right? So that, imagine that on top of your head and all, like, what the fuck? So hold on, right? I would say that any decent officers would regard the whole episode in the same way it has been seen by members of the public. Things happened that should not have, and people should have been held to account. There are many instances of officers assaulting prisoners and being charged with offences, so why should we have an incident where a man actually dies and immunity is granted? Want me to tell you why? Because the conduct was more than just an officer breaking my jaw because I slashed him or flung shite at him or flung a jug of piss at him. You killed somebody. This is culpable homicide. This is a clear-cut case of culpable homicide, and the Crown Office and the Scottish Government are covering the Scottish Prison Service arse. Because this type of thing, this could bring down the SPS. That's just my unprofessional analysis. Fucking shocking, man. It beggars belief. But what? Oh, fuck me, man. What? Oh my god, man. Sorry, I didn't know that photo was there, man. That's fucking horrendous, mate. I don't even know if I can get through the rest of this fucking article apart to read this wee fucking piecemeal shite A spokesperson for the SBS said, "We sincerely apologise for the failings which resulted in the sad death of Mr. Marshall, and our thoughts and condolences remain with his family." Aye, sure it does. That is fucked up, mate. But what's funny is all these sources, these Daily Record sources and prison staff who were there, and they feel so much shame that this guy died. Let me ask you a question. Did you feel so much shame that you felt like confessing? Did you feel so much shame that you handed in your resignation? Did you feel so much shame that you just came out with it? Like, you're still hiding behind newspapers, and obviously you don't feel that much fucking shame. You're probably still working there. Like, what? What is going on? I maybe get the fact that you might be a bit reticent to come forward, but well, my pals think I've worked here this amount of time and all that. But sometimes, man, you just need to fling yourself on your sword, or somebody else's sword, you know what I mean? If I truly felt shamed by this, I would be quitting. I would have quit that day, or the next day I'd be like, fuck that, man, working in there. What I always say, but Nietzsche said, he who fights monsters should make sure he does not become a monster. Do you get what I mean? So basically what you have is some employees of the SPS, not everybody, but some, conduct themselves in the manner that prisoners don't even do. Aye, they use weapons, they do this, they do that, right? It's a bit of a, probably the wrong analogy to use, but yous are meant to be the upholder of these values and teaching us how to be when we go back home and all this shit. Yous are just like us, in shorts. How would we meant to take lessons off of yous? I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't. And do you know what's pure weird about it? I have followed this case and I didn't see that to the day. And I just thought, nah, mate, fuck this. How come when it's government, it's always swept under the rug? See if that was in some other institution, man, the heads would have rolled. They had to give you fucking free run immunity because that was the only way yous were getting out of this charge. Yous were getting done with culpable homicide. Right? And it doesn't matter if I wasn't the guy that held the till, I just held his on or whatever. You're still culpable. It's like, oh, I robbed the bank, but he robbed the bank, but I just held the door open. It doesn't matter. You knew what was fucking happening. You didn't stop it. Fuck's sake. He's a break, man. But sorry about the rant. I just hate double standards, man. I'm gonna leave it here, man. That's a bit of a messy case, man. And I do hope that Allan's family finds some sort of solace. Or I know it's to me it sounds like empty words. It really does. But what else can I say? If that was me, I would want. You know what? I I would be out of my mind, mate. Uh, it's fucking sad. I'm a dad of two, mate. Not even making it home from prison like fucking a couple of days before his release. Like, what the fuck, man? That just infuriates me, man. But anyway, I hope you all have a good night. And I'll see you all next time I'm back on. Everybody take care. Bye.